I think everybody sometimes gets caught up with what niche should I go into? Where should I go from here? This has been affected. Oh, this is a super successful niche because it's got really high ROIs. Like, you can be very successful micro niching, like a niche within a niche. Pick roofing and then pick flat roofs only. Like you get that niche. There's enough customers out there to make you successful, like regardless of what niche you're in. And micro niching down and niching down is seen to be successful. It works.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no-bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome to Show Me the Nuggets. Today we have on none other than Invisible PPC's own Scott O'Brien, the head of our partnerships program here. And I'm really excited to bring Scotty on and to really talk about what's working for successful digital agencies in today's market. I think that Scott has a really, really unique perspective that I'm hoping to really share with you guys today. And that is, Scott talks with a lot of you guys. He talks with a lot of marketers, talks with a lot of agencies, and knows what's working for people that are successful and people that aren't so successful and people that are struggling in different parts of their agencies. And I'm really excited to bring Scott on. So Scott, man, without further ado, welcome officially to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's brilliant to be here. So really appreciate the invite. Thanks.
Yeah, man, super excited to have you. Before we get too deep into things, tell us a little bit about your background, if you will, and then how you got into the world of digital marketing and agencies as we know it.
Yeah, so I've probably got a pretty unique background when it comes to digital marketing. So about 18 months ago, I had no experience whatsoever. Very much newbie, had no experience in relation to digital marketing. To be honest, you could probably ask me questions about what MCC was, what PPC was, and I would probably be quite shocked and not really know the answer. But basically, my background is education. So I'm originally a teacher working within secondary schools and primary schools. Worked for that for a good number of years before deciding to move into sales. And my passion has always lied with education. So when I left education, I moved into educational sales and worked with some phenomenal businesses selling products and services into schools, majority of the time to help students achieve their goals and sort of grow, basically.
That's awesome. So then ultimately you ended up somehow working at Invisible PPC. So how did that happen?
Yeah, it's all about who you know. It's all about who you know. So basically, I know Rob through going to the gym, working with Rob at the gym, and Rob and I have trained together for years and been friends for quite a long time. Rob approached me probably about 2 years ago and saying, if there was ever a job at my place, would you be interested? And I know nothing. I knew nothing about Rob other than how much he could lift and how fit he was. I knew nothing about his business. And I was like, yeah, I'd always be interested. So Rob invited me to come and find out what he does. And I sat in Rob's office for probably close to 3 months, guys, finding out about Rob's job, what he does. And Rob fundamentally learning about me, my techniques, what I do, and what makes me different. And this is probably Rob's words, but he'll probably say it better than me. The reason Rob employed me was my attitude towards my own clients. Like, one of the things that I think makes me very unique is I very much want to put the end client, which in our case at Invisible PPC is agencies, into the boardroom so that they're included in the conversation and included into the things that we do. And that's what I've always done with all my other businesses. It's very much client focused, client first. What can we do to better help students in my old business, or better help schools, or now better help agencies?
Yeah, I love it. Rob has said it many times, I think in front of you and not in front of you, that the reason that he wanted you to work at Invisible PPC so bad was because of your care for your customers and the people that you work with, and ensuring that they get the result that they're looking for and that they're really after. And he saw how much you fought for that in your past in different jobs and careers. So I definitely think that makes you unique, and such an asset for us at Invisible, and such an asset for the agencies that we work with. So that's awesome. Hey, real quick, before we dive into the rest of this episode, real quick, I promise my team and I would like to personally thank you, our audience, yes, you listening right now, for all the amazing support that you guys have been giving the podcast. The growth has been just crazy, and I want you to know that we're super appreciative to you. So we've been trying to think of something cool that we could do to give back to our audience, to give back to you guys. And I think we've come up with something that's really unique. It's something that's special. So here's the thing. The team here at Digital Triggers, my own little team here, has decided that we're going to give away a gift pack that includes our top of the line resources to sell SEO, right? We know that so many of you guys out there are agencies. This is going to literally give you contracts, proposals, pitches, scripts that you guys can use, outreach templates. It's a pack of assets and collateral for anybody wanting to sell SEO services or marketing services to any type of business, not just local businesses. This has been used to land e-com deals, all kinds of deals out there. So if you didn't hear that, let me make it a little more clear. Okay, our Digital Triggers family is giving you some of the best of the content and the resources that we've ever put together, absolutely free, just for listening to the podcast. Okay, all that you have to do is go to digitaltriggers.io/gift pack. And you are good to go, folks. It is that simple. We'll make sure that this page is up and ready for you guys by the time this episode airs. And with that being said, let's get back to the episode. All right, that was all right. I think that went okay. Let's jump in then. So fast forward, you start at Invisible PPC. You were kind of all over the map, doing all kinds of different things. And now today, fast forward, your role is head of partnerships. Can you walk us through what role or head of partnerships at Invisible PPC means?
Yeah, so head of partnerships is all about the agency. So it's very much about focusing on what the agency needs, and making sure that we can deliver that. So a day in the life of, or what it looks like for me, is I'm pretty much on calls with agencies every single day. And this is everybody from, hi, my name's Trevor and I just want to start a business. I want to get into starting my first agency. How do I partner? How do I work? How do I do that? To, hi, I'm running with 30, 40 PPC clients and looking to scale and looking at moving to find a fulfillment partner. And basically, my job is to make sure that regardless of where the agency comes from and regardless of their experience, is that they get the same treatment through our service, through our business, so that they feel like any client should, looked after, supported, and have all the information they need to grow, scale, and build their business.
That's awesome. So now that everybody understands kind of your background and also kind of what you do at Invisible, how does education sales relate or compare or not relate to agency sales? What are the things that are similar? What do you think is completely different? Just what are your gut reactions to that question, Scott?
Yeah, so it's complicated, but in some aspects very simple, which doesn't make sense. But what I mean by that is both of them have one core goal, and that is the end client is the person that's the success. So when we're in education, I was always selling to schools, or I was selling to large corporate schools, multi-academy trusts, we call them in the UK, who were then looking for things that could improve their end client, who was the student. The end user was the student. And when it comes to agency sales, it's exactly the same. Working at Invisible PPC, I'm speaking with agencies and making sure that agencies are feeling comfortable about the service they're offering, so that fundamentally they get the best possible service for their end client, who at this day is normally local businesses. So that kind of messaging, that kind of thing is very, very similar. As you're going through, one of the things that again is very similar is that each part of the business has the same investment. So at Invisible PPC, one of the things that you see is that we're very, very passionate about the end client's success. Like, we don't touch the end client. Actually, half of the time, the negatives in our business is that we don't speak to them. So we don't get that feedback. But our goal and our passion is very much aligned with the end client. And that was exactly the same when it was in educational sales. The softwares, the products, the services that we delivered were all very much focused on, okay, how can we offer the best possible service for the end user, which is the student, or in this case, the end client, which is local services.
Now, I think what you brought up there at the end is so important, because ultimately, if we don't have the end client's desires and wishes in mind, then obviously it's going to be very hard for our agencies to not only sell the product but also retain long term. And without that, it's no good for the agencies, it's no good for the end business, and then it's no good for us, right? Like, if deals are coming in and falling out as fast as they came in, nobody wants to be in that business. So that's a really good point.
Completely agree. Like, it's really difficult. It's a difficult position to be in, but it's a super exciting one, because you're able to impact so many more people being where we're at and what we're doing. And so we know that at Invisible PPC, with the changes that we make, can really impact a lot of businesses. And all we need to do is we need to impact one or two agencies, and as long as they're doing as they normally do, and that they're impacting 10 to 15 local businesses, and how many lives and people that's improving is just fantastic.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So I want to make sure that we capture your point of view in this interview, and I want to make sure that you are unedited and that you're real in this interview, like you always are. I want to make sure that as head of partnerships, that your point of view on this podcast comes out. I think that you have a very unique perspective in that you talk with so many agencies, and not like me talking from a platform or on a webinar. You're talking like one-on-one, and you're understanding their pains, their frustrations. You're having conversations over time. Your relationship with agencies is very different than mine typically is. And you speak with all kinds of agencies. And you see then from, I talked with this person, and then a week later, a month later, even a year later, you see them come through and start onboarding clients. And so you get to see a very different point of view than most people do. And so I want to ask you some really blunt and candid questions that I think only you and your point of view can answer. So I'm curious, like, from your point of view, what sets apart a successful agency from a non-successful agency? From you speaking with them to a month later, a year later, them onboarding clients, them retaining clients, like, what are the traits that you see, like, oh man, like, this guy is crushing it, this gal is crushing it, like, their clients love them, they're getting great results? Like, what are the common traits? Because I know that you see them.
Yeah, so I think the fundamental thing for me is the fact that some agencies get caught up in the weeds. They get caught up in their own issues, their own problems, and don't implement, don't do. And I know loads of people say this, but it's the time and time again. Like, the main thing for me is, if an agency comes to me and goes, Scott, would you look at this? What do you think that this? What's your ideas on this? Compared to, Scott, how do I do this? Like, that is a big change, a different mindset. I am happy to help anyone, and this is sort of probably a motto of mine. I'm happy to help anyone who's happy to help themselves. And the thing that I do see is, if an agency comes to me and goes, for example, today I've just had, hey Scott, just watch this podcast, built this landing page, thinking of this, and this as a strategy. What do you think? I'm reviewing that. I'm sending a video to them to let them know and offering ideas and insights. That person, that individual, is going to be a success. No questions about it. Compared to the agency that's probably going to come across to me and is going to go, so I'm thinking of doing a tiered project. How much should I price my services for? Okay, this is an average we see. Yeah, but what should I price? I don't know. Being completely honest, I don't know. Like, depends on your overheads, depends on what you want to do. How many kids have you got to put through college? Like, do you know what I mean? It's questions like that you just don't know. And that's probably one of the main things that I see, is if if an agency is willing to help themselves, they will likely be successful. Yeah.
So that's cool. Like, you debunk kind of a pricing myth. Like, is there some secret price out there, Scotty, that I gotta make sure I price my packages, or I'm not going to get the client, or I'm not going to succeed? I think you just debunked that right there.
Yeah, exactly. I think people just get caught up in their own thoughts and processes, and making things too complicated. That's probably the main thing. Like, this is really simple stuff when you get down to it. It's very much, I can deliver you more leads. Okay, would you like more leads? Yes. It's going to cost this. Is that a good ROI? Yes. Perfect. Let's sign. Like, it's not hard. And when agencies sort of get caught up in the, how do I get this and how do I sort that? Or if you're working with Invisible PPC, don't worry. We take care of 90% of it for you. Just turn up to a call. That's literally it. But yeah, that's probably the main thing.
While we're myth busting, when you look at our agencies and you look at the ones that are doing really, really well, would you say that there's some like coveted niches that they're in, or there's like, oh, there's this thread that, man, like, you gotta be doing this type of niche, or it's gotta be this type of average customer value. The deals have to close in this amount of time. Do you think that there's this crazy formula that's so articulate to pick your niche?
There isn't one at all. There really isn't one. Like my thoughts on this, and my thoughts alone, would be very much, deal with people that you want to deal with and talk with every day, and have or pick an industry you're passionate about. Like, if those are the three things, they will come across in your calls no matter who you're talking with. Like, and I think that's the main thing for me. Like, I think everybody sometimes gets caught up with what niche should I go into? Where should I go from here? This has been affected. Oh, this is a super successful niche because it's got really high ROIs. Like, you can be very successful micro niching. Like, a niche within a niche. Pick roofing and then pick flat roofs only. Like you get that niche. There's enough customers out there to make you successful. Like, regardless of what niche you're in, and micro niching down and niching down is seen to be successful. It works.
I love it. So when you see, when you think of successful agencies that work with us and that you have a relationship with, what do you think is like the 80-20? What do you think are like the things that they're concentrating on, the things that are important? What are the commonalities that you see?
So for me, the main commonalities we've seen between them is customer relationships. Like, this is something that you could class me as a salesperson, and I would probably fight back, because I'm not. I'm a relationships person. Like, 90% of my sales come from relationships I've built over a long period of time, or over a call or something. So the first thing I would say is building relationships, and build the relationships. When building the relationships, you're building the trust. So the second thing would be the trust, and the third would be practice what you're preaching. And I mean that as in the sense of, go out there and practice to speak to clients and speak to customers, find out what they want, like find out what they need. That type of stuff really works. That would be my main focus, that front end stuff. Once you've got that in place, then the next thing for me be process. Like, you can't improve anything you're doing unless you know it. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, like, you're caught. Like, you can't see anything. Like, you've got to be seeing the process, you've got to understand it, refine it, and work forward. But the first thing is, like, getting out there, trying it, speaking to customers, finding out what they need.
I was just going to write down something because I thought it was really good, man. You got to document the process, or otherwise you can't just see it. You said that and it just flew off the top of your tongue. But like, to me, that meant like, you got to slow down. You got to systematize your processes. You have to make sure that it's scalable. But when doing so, that gives your brain the relief to be able to see the bigger picture and to really be listening to your prospect and be understanding what they're saying, versus just trying to figure out, oh crap, what's the next slide or the next thing I got to present. Like, by you really systematizing out your sales process, your fulfillment process, your meetings, like all of your business, you then have the ability to actually listen, right? I think that and to see the bigger picture, to correlate it back to what you just said. That's really good.
Definitely. Like, I think hopefully most agencies that listen to this will agree, but the main things that we see, the two main goals of an agency that they want to achieve along down the line is they want to build an agency to sell, or they want to build an agency that they do not have to be in the day-to-day running of. And if that's you, I'm telling you now, that is 99% of the people on this call and 99% of the people I speak to every single day. That's their two goals, their two objectives. And when you're thinking of your niche and where you're working, they're going to have exactly the same. The route to that is different. So you documenting your flow to that and understanding, okay, where do customers change and where do customers interact differently allows you to understand how to better get your client to that goal quicker. Like, what's the route that they should be taking? What should you be doing? And how can you document them to get there?
I love that. Yeah, I think that's definitely a common traits of agencies that we're talking with and you're talking with about working with us. You definitely see those traits coming through. And we do see people that make it through the other side and end up hitting those goals. Let's switch for a second. And again, you got to be brutally honest with me and with everybody here. When it comes to the non-successful agencies, and that's really harsh. But what I want to say is the people that you've spoken with in the past, and they're like, yes, Scotty, great conversation. I'm going to onboard a client soon. And then 6 months later, you talk to them again, and it's the same conversation. And so the way I want to define non-successful agencies is that they come to us, they want a problem solved, and then we just kind of keep going around the hamster wheel with them, right? Like they never really progress from their current state that they talk to you about to the desired state, right? Of what you just said. What do you think are kind of the mistakes or pitfalls, the things that you commonly see that make you like, that make you want to like reach through the screen and just kind of shake somebody? Like, what are the things that if you had to tell people, like, just make sure you don't A, B, and C, right? Like, what would you say?
Yeah, it's the fluffy stuff. So I find that quite a lot of agencies that will end up being on a call with me in 3 months' time, 4 months' time, and have made very little progress, decide to focus on the things that aren't going to grow a business and have never grown a business. So, like, yes, you could be scared of sales and you could be scared of jumping on the call with somebody, but guys, there's so many options now to make a sale. Like, you can do outreach through social media, you can do videos, you can do cold email, you can do phones, etc. And what you find is that agencies that will keep to me in sort of 3 months' time and have made no progress will have done fluffy stuff like, hey, I've just redesigned my landing page. Do you want to have a look at the landing page? Or here's a great new logo. Or fantastic. Oh, I've just bought this new domain name and I'm looking at switching over into this niche. Just like, okay, you've not made any progress in your current niche that you've decided on. You haven't ruled that out yet. Like, what made you make that decision that's this new niche is wrong? And like I say, there's nothing wrong about switching niches. Like, if you find a new passion or you've got something there, that's completely fine. I understand that. But going through the process all the way to the end to understand that it's been successful or not successful, like, that would be it. I think a lot of agencies do a lot of the things that they enjoy and not the things that help grow a business.
Definitely. Completely agreed with that. So when it comes to agencies and the services that we provide, we're obviously not everything to everyone, right? Like, we do things, we have a core set of services, but between our core set of services, we really have like core services. Who is our like ideal candidate of people that we work with? Like, let's say you get 5 people that come to you and you talk with them today. Who are the people that you get off the phone call and you're like, man, like, those 2 people are going to crush it? Who are our ideal prospects, and maybe who are people that should consider maybe not working with us? I don't want to anti-sell anybody, but let's be real about kind of who the perfect candidates are for Invisible PPC.
Yeah, and I think this is probably a luxury that Joe gave me, and I think this is one of the best things about our business is the fact that I have and am able to refuse and tell people that we are not the right person for them. Like, being completely honest, I was on a video call today and told a client today that I don't think they're ready to work with us yet. And the ideal agency for us is somebody that has a client already. That client is existing within a specific service. So ideally a digital marketing service. They've gone through some pain points with them. So this can be anything from SEO to Facebook to PPC to website builds and website design. Like, if you've gone through some pain with your client and you've seen it, you've got a client existing, and then are wanting to do PPC, we are likely right for you, especially if you are in one of our smart niches. And the next thing would be you want to scale. Like, if you do not want to scale in PPC, we are not the right fit for you. Client came to us the other day. Hi, looking to do PPC, not really my bag, not really interested, just looking for somebody to take over this for me because I don't really want to do it. Really, we're not the partner for you. I'm really sorry, but we're not the best fit for you. And we're not. It's completely fine. Like, that's what we want. We want agencies that want to grow, that want to scale, that care about their end clients, and that have experience in working with clients.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that we definitely see you hit on something there, that somebody that has a portfolio of digital marketing clients with any type of service, we found very quickly, you found that they can sell PPC as an add-on or as a new service and scale that service out very quickly. As opposed to a lot of people that come to us and have never sold any digital marketing services. Getting through that hump the first time seems like it's definitely the hardest point, to get through. Thoughts on that? Is that a true statement, or am I wrong?
100% true. Like, we've got a client at the moment who onboarded with us 2 days last week. So last Wednesday, he would have onboarded with us. He's already brought his second client. This is he's established digital business, not running PPC, onboarded his second PPC client in 2 weeks. Like, super successful in his own right for what he's doing, went to scale. Yeah, he will grow. He will only grow. Got a client at the moment, just had a call with, he's likely to do very well as well. He's got a digital marketing business already established, not PPC, but understands the value in PPC and why he should be offering that as an additional service. He will land clients, no questions.
So I want to say something, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like, niching down, whether you pick a niche or your deliverable or what, seems like it's really important for us based upon what I've seen. And then also almost productizing so that you can scale is really important as well, right? Like, and if they do one or the other, like, can they have success? Yes. But it's a whole lot more work, a whole lot more effort. And it seems like we definitely don't see near as many success stories out the other side, so to speak, of people if they don't kind of fall in those two buckets.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, one of the things that we're looking for in this is we're looking for sort of agencies that, again, want to grow, want to scale. But one of the main things that we sort of come across is if they're willing to work and willing to commit into those, it's something that we see and we can do. Like, for me, yeah, there's no problems with that.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. To be in the position that you're in now, you have to be a killer when it comes to sales. I know that you say that you're customer focused, and right, it's all about the customer at the end of the day, but you got to have some sales chops. So I want to ask, from your point of view, with all of your sales background, what are some of the strategies and tips and tricks that you could share with the audience to help them sell consistently, and, like, more importantly, Scotty, like, stuff that they can take away, like, right now, like rapid fire, like, do this, change this to that, do this instead. What would the things be?
Yeah. So first one, and I said this previously, is build rapport. The first 30 seconds of your call, the first 30 of your seconds of your call is build a relationship with your client. Have a general conversation with them. The reason for that is it instantly puts down the barriers. It starts the conversation correct, and you're instantly put on a friend basis. Again, basics that everyone knows. The second thing is listen and ask questions. You don't know what the client wants unless you're asking the right questions. Now, as you become more focused on your niche and you understand the questions to ask because of the responses you get. But you want to be able to understand the objections they're going to have later on down the line to be able to close it. You want to understand what their reasons for what they're doing this for. Like I say, quite a lot of our agency owners are small-time business owners that are looking to put their kids through college. And if I know that, like if I already know that on a call, I know what we need to do and how many clients they need to get. So I can speak to them and go, here's an agency just like you. This is what they've achieved over the last 6 months. This is the revenue that they've brought in. This could be you. Yeah. And so that'd be my second thing, is asking the questions. And the third thing, and this is something that I will tell you now, all sales individuals do very, very badly. Follow up. Follow up. Like if you've got a sales team in place, or if you yourself, I can guarantee your follow-up process is not good. Our follow-up process is 3 months long if they don't touch us, and I think something like 25 touch points at different points. And guys, ours isn't good enough. Like ours still isn't good enough. Like build a follow-up process that relates to your customers, that keeps them on board, that keeps them in touch. If a customer isn't right now, it doesn't mean they're not right ever. Like if a customer is saying, no, I'm not ready to purchase yet, there's nothing to say that they're not in 3 months' time going to be ready to purchase. We've just had it recently where a contact of mine I've been in touch with for a while now through Facebook has just came onboarded, purchased within a matter of minutes, straight onto an onboarding call and through. So yeah, follow up. That'd be my 3, mate.
Definitely. I think you kind of went over to, like, you care so much about the customer and their outcome. That ties into building rapport. That ties into the second thing you said. I think that that's really important too. And you're going to bat for that person. And a lot of people forget that. And I think the other thing with you when it comes to all your calls is that you make it enjoyable for the other person, right? And you come happy and you ask good questions and you ask about them. And so it's really hard to show up to a call with Scotty and not be like, that was a fun call and smiling. And like, you always sign off the calls. What do you do when you sign off a call? What do you do?
Bye.
All right, see ya. Have a great day. Bye. Right. So now, like, everybody at the company does that. And so it's hard not to come off that call and be like, that was a good call, right? Smiling and happy. What do you guys think that does, for your sales calls? And I can say that mine aren't always like that, right? But Scotty definitely, encourages me to do better, right? You're a great role model in that regard. And so I try to copy it. I try to make the kind of mundane calls that I have a little more enjoyable by Scotty rubbing off on me. So much appreciated, bud. So I want to wrap it up with one quick question. Thanks so much. This has been great. I feel like at the end of like every podcast host always asks, like, what are your favorite 3 books? And I like that. But I'm like a voracious reader, but the book has to be good. I'm either going to pick up the book and I'm going to read it in like one sitting, or I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to go, and just toss it. And I'm okay with tossing it too, and not reading it, starting it and not finishing it. But I always like to ask my guests, people that I admire, people that I want to talk to, what's your favorite book, right? As you look at your life, you look at the way that you live life, you go after your career, your profession, like, what do you think is the best book that demonstrates kind of you and where you're at?
Yeah, it's probably a difficult one. I've been completely honest. I'm not a huge reader. I'm massive into podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts and go through that way. My books, sort of what I would go for, probably the best one for me was one that I read quite recently, which was I think the $50 million coach, $50 million coach or something, which is about an individual that was a coach for the likes of people at Google, etc. And that was something for me that was really interesting to read, etc. But like I say, mine's short snippets, so that would probably be my best book. But I'm short snippets. I'm a podcast guy. 2.5 minute, 2.5 speed, like 10 minutes, go through it and get as many podcasts in as I possibly can. And if I've got a recommendation from that, and this sounds probably really simple, but it would be Castro. And it's just a simple recommendation. But Castro, you can filter, you can put your podcasts on, you can filter through them, you can get rid of all the sound, you can play it as a podcast and go through it. Like, game changer. So that's another one.
Game changer for sure. Definitely left a nugget there with Castro. So Scott, man, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A very different kind of non-typical episode where you guys are able to see literally behind the scenes of Invisible PPC, see what's working and more importantly, maybe even not working inside of literally hundreds, if not thousands of agencies. And I'm excited that, Scott, you were able to come on, we were able to connect and have this show for everybody. And I know that there will be a bunch of people coming over to Invisible because of this show. So thanks so much, man, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Look forward
to speaking everybody. See you guys.
Bye. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in and Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.